Hello everyone! Ako ulit to, si Rose Ann, at nandito tayo para ituloy yung discussion tungkol sa absolute extrema. So, simulan natin dito sa function na 2 secant x minus tangent x on a closed and bounded interval 0 to pi over 4. So, the goal is to find the absolute extrema of this function. Okay, so lagay na lang din natin yung step-by-step procedure para well-guided tayo tungkol dun sa steps. Pero, hindi naman siya kailangan. Also, bago nyo ituloy ang panonood nitong video na ito, I suggest na sagutan nyo muna mag-isa yung itong example na ito bago nyo tingnan yung video. Okay, parang discussion class lang. Okay, so let's start. Step 0. Okay, so again, tanungin niyo yung sarili nyo kung continuous ba yung function. Yes, because kasi si secant at saka si tangent, undefined lang yan for odd multiples of pi over 2. Pero wala naman yung odd multiples of pi over 2 dito sa ating given interval. So therefore, yes, it is continuous. Okay? Proceed to step 1. Step 1, find the critical numbers. So to find the critical numbers, we need to get the derivative of f. So, sana naalala pa natin kung paano kumuha ng derivative. So, we have 2 secant x tangent x minus secant squared x. So, therefore, yung critical numbers, again, those are the values that will make this expression equal to 0 or kung kailan siya nagiging undefined. Pero, magiging undefined lang naman itong expression na ito kapag odd multiple ng pi over 2, which is not in our domain. So, hanapin na lang natin kung kailan sila nagiging 0. So, factor out secant x to tangent x minus secant x. Find the 0. So, 0 equals secant x or 0 is equal to 2 tangent x minus secant x. Itong part na ito, walang solution yan. Tapos ito, solve natin. So, write in terms of sine and cosine na lang para mas madali. So, we have 2 sine x over cosine x minus 1 over cosine x. Cross-multiply natin yung cosine x. Parang mawawala lang siya. So, 2 sine x minus 1. So, therefore, sine x equals 1/2. So, what are those angles? So, on this interval, 0 to pi over 4 lang tayo again. Kaya yung x natin, isa lang. So, which is pi over 6. Okay. So, therefore, we have a critical number. X equals pi over 6. Okay. Proceed to step 2. Step 2, again, ask yourself if you have only one critical number. Yes, one critical number. And open interval ba? Open interval ba ito? Hindi. Siya ay closed interval. So, therefore, the answer is no. So, proceed to step 3. Doon sa second na step 3. Kung naalala nyo pa, balikan nyo yung previous video para alam nyo yung tinutukoy ko. Okay. Dun sa pangalawang step 3, ang sinasabi doon, we need to find the function value of the critical number, which is pi over 6. Okay. So, getting the function value, just plug it in here. Diyan, palitan lang natin yung x. So, we have 2 secant pi over 6 minus tangent pi over 6. So, we have 2 times secant pi over 6 is 1 over cosine. So, therefore, ang cosine pi over 6 ay square root of 3 over 2. So, balik rin natin. 2 over square root of 3 minus tangent pi over 6 is sine over cosine. So, we have a 1 over square root of 3. 1/2 over square root of 3 over 2. So, 1 over square root of 3. So, we have 4 minus 1 over square root of 3. So, therefore, we have 3 over square root of 3. If we rationalize this, you will have the value of square root of 3. Okay. Next, pag nakuha mo na yung function value ng critical number, kunin mo ngayon yung function value doon sa iyong given interval. So, since yung given interval natin ay parehong close, kunin mo lang yung function value nitong 0 at saka function value ng pi over 4. So, yung function value ng 0 ay 2 secant 0 minus tangent 0. Secant 0 ay 1, so times 2. Tangent 0 is 0, so we have 2. And last, get the function value of pi over 4. Sorry, yung pangit ng sulat ko. Function value of pi over 4, we have 2 secant pi over 4 minus tangent pi over 4. Secant pi over 4 is square root of 2. So, we have 2 square root of 2 minus 1. Okay, yan na. Tapos, ito, i-calculator nyo na lang para malaman natin kung anong value nito. So, square root of 3, this is approximately, square root of 3, approximately 1.73. Si 2 square root of 2 minus 1, approximately 1.82. So, ano yung pinakamataas? Ito. This is the max. Ano yung pinakamababa? Ito yung pinakamababa. So, ito yung mean. Okay. So, step 4 last is to compare the values and conclude. So, conclusion natin, ito yung pinakamataas. So, therefore, we have an absolute max at x equals 0. And we have an absolute minimum at x equals pi over 6. And that's it. Yan na yung ating absolute extrema. So, absolute max at x equals 0 and absolute mean at x equals pi over 6. So, sana pareho tayo ng nakuhang values. Okay. Next, mag-consider pa tayo ng another example. So, again, maganda siguro kung sagutan nyo muna ito bago nyo panoorin ng buo itong lecture, itong discussion video. Okay. Let us consider this function here on the open negative 2, comma, to 2, close sa 2. Okay. So again, step 0 is to confirm if our function is continuous. Again, this is just an algebraic expression. Radical lang yan. So, ibig sabihin, continuous siya on its domain. So, check mo lang kung nasa domain ba itong interval na ito. So, yes. So, for step 1, kunin natin again yung critical numbers. So, get f prime of x. This is equal to, derivative niyan, 1 over 2 square root of 4 minus x squared times chain rule, we have negative 2x. Tama? So, cancel na natin yung 2 para mas madaling tignan. Okay. So, f prime of x is equal to x over square root of 4 minus x squared. Okay. So, again, yung ating critical numbers are the values that will make this expression 0 and undefined. So, magiging 0 ito kapag x is 0, magiging undefined if x is positive or negative 2. Ito sabi ko sa discussion class ko lagi na sulat nyo lang lahat. Tapos, pag nasulat nyo lahat, tsaka nyo i-check ngayon yung inyong domain, tapos tanggalin nyo or ilagay nyo na lang sa parentheses yung mga wala dapat sa domain. So, for example, itong negative 2, since parentheses yan, hindi yan kasama sa domain. So, ito, tatanggalin natin yan. Okay? So, hindi yan critical number. Okay? So, we have two critical numbers, 0 and 2. Okay. So, step number 2 is to look at the number of critical numbers. Since dalawa yan, again, no ulit yung sagot natin dun sa tanong dun sa step number 2. So, therefore, dun tayo sa pangalawa, again, na step number 3. So, ang gagawin ulit natin is to get the function value of the critical numbers. So, f at 0 and f at 2. So, at x equals 0, this will be 2. Square root of 4 is 2. Tapos, at 2, function value is equal to 0. Okay? Tapos, tignan natin ngayon yung interval. Dito muna tayo sa 2. Since itong 2 na ito, close yan dyan, ang kukunin natin ay function value ng 2. Pero nakuha na natin kasi critical number siya. So, okay na yun. Ito naman, since open yan, kunin natin yung limit. Limit as of f of x as x approaches negative 2. Tapos, kailangan natin yung direction. Kasi, ito yung interval natin. So, yung values natin galing lang sa kanan ni negative 2. Ibig sabihin, values greater than negative 2. Hindi natin concern yung galing sa kaliwa. Okay, so, negative 2 from the right of f of x. So, this is equal to, yung pagkuha ng limit nito, parang plug-in mo lang din eh, no? So, this will be equal to 0. Okay. So, therefore, step number 4 is to compare, then conclude. So, ito yung pinakamalaki. So, ito yung maximum. Itong dalawa equal. So, yan dapat yung ating minimum. Kaya lang, again, take note, for this part, kinuha natin yung limit. Ibig sabihin, hindi ka pwedeng magkaroon ng minimum sa kanya. Ibig sabihin, yung minimum natin, nandito lang. Okay? So, therefore, we have an absolute max at x equals 0 and absolute minimum at x equals, again, at 2 lang. 2. Hindi pwedeng si negative 2 kasi kumuha tayo ng limit dahil hindi siya kasama doon sa ating interval. Hindi siya kasama sa pinagpipilian natin. Okay? And that's it. Sige, isa pa. Bago ko putulin yung video. Okay. Let's consider another function. F of x equals x plus 1 over x on the interval negative infinity to 0. Okay? So again, step 0 is to identify whether this one is continuous or not. Is this continuous? Yes, kasi ito ay algebraic expression lang. So therefore, continuous on its domain. Ang wala lang sa domain ay x equals 0 because of this term here. Pero si 0, wala naman dun sa ating interval. So therefore, continuous siya. For step 1, let us find the critical numbers. So get f prime of x. This is equal to derivative of x is just 1. Derivative of 1 over x is negative 1 over x squared. Kasi again, recall, 1 over x is just equal to x raised to negative 1. Okay. So, to get the critical numbers, kailan to nagiging 0 at saka kailan siya nagiging undefined. So, para mas madali, gawin nating isang expression lang. So, pagsamahin natin. So, we have x squared minus 1 over x squared. So, kailan to nagiging 0? Kapag x is positive or negative 1. Tapos, kailan siya nagiging undefined? Kapag x is 0. Okay? After getting this, again, don't forget to check your interval. Kasi dun ka lang namimili. Tanggalin mo yung mga hindi kasali. So, C1, hindi yan kasali dun sa negative infinity to 0. So, wala yan. Si negative 1 kasama. Si 0, dahil open siya dito, hindi yan kasali. Okay. So, ibig sabihin, our critical number is negative 1. Okay. So, number 2, anong sagot dun sa tanong? Ang tanong, ilan yung critical numbers? Isa lang. Open interval ba tayo? Yes, open interval tayo. So, the answer here is yes. So, doon tayo sa unang step 3. Again, kung nakalimutan nyo, balikan nyo na lang yung first video about my discussion on these specific steps. Okay. So, sabi dun sa step 3, use SDT, second derivative test. So, kunin mo lang yung second derivative evaluated at x. So, ito yung first derivative. Kunin lang natin yung derivative. Mas madali i-deal to. Mas madali kuhanan to ng second derivative. So, ito na lang yung tignan natin. Okay. So, derivative of 1 is 0 plus negative 1 times x raised to negative 2, so negative 2 over x cubed. Tama ba? Oh, tama naman. Okay, so this is equal to 2 over x cubed. Okay. Tapos, after getting the second derivative, evaluate x equals your critical number, yung negative 1. Okay. Again, ipa-plug in natin to sa second derivative, ha? Second derivative. So, dito. So, if x is negative 1, so this will be equal to negative 2. Okay. So, this is less than 0. So, therefore, step 4, conclude na tayo. So, by SDT, since yung second derivative ay less than 0, concave down siya. So, we have an relative max kasi concave down at x equals negative 1. And pero remember, ang hinahanap natin dito ay absolute, hindi relative. Pero dahil mag-isa lang siya, isang relative lang, since one relative max, it is the absolute max. Okay? So, therefore, we have an absolute max at x equals negative 1 and no absolute minimum. Ayan. So, ito na yung sagot natin. Again, yung second derivative test, gagamitin lang natin to kapag merong isang critical number and open yung ating interval. Kasi very crucial yun sa pag-convert nung relative papuntang absolute. Okay? Putulin ko muna yung video para hindi masyadong mahaba. I will see you guys on the next video and we will answer more examples there. Bye!